What if the only thing standing between you and the life you dream about is how you think? Really think about that. Not your job, not your bank account, not your circumstances, just your mindset. What if everything you've ever wanted, freedom, wealth, peace of mind, could begin with one simple shift inside your head? Most people never even question the way they think. They repeat the same patterns, live the same year over and over, and call it a life. But millionaires? They don't think like the crowd. They don't think in limits. They think in possibility. And that's where everything changes, because wealth isn't first created in the real world. It's created in the invisible world, your mind. Before the investments, before the business, before the opportunities, there's a decision to see the world differently, a decision to stop playing small, a decision to stop saying maybe someday and start saying, why not me? That shift isn't just motivational, it's transformational. It rewires the way you see time, money, and value. It changes how you respond to failure, how you handle pressure, how you show up when nobody's watching. It's not about being lucky, it's about being intentional. The truth is, most people are trapped in mental cages they don't even realize they're in. They were taught to fear money, to believe it's hard to earn, impossible to keep, and wrong to want more of it. So they stay stuck. Not because they aren't capable, but because their minds were programmed to settle, to play it safe, to shrink their dreams down to the size of their fears. But here's what you need to know. You can reprogram your mind. You can unlearn the limitations. You can upgrade the way you think, just like updating software on a phone. The question is, will you? Because once you change your mindset, your life follows. You start moving differently, speaking differently, seeing differently. Opportunities you used to overlook become visible. Challenges that used to break you become fuel. You stop waiting for the perfect time. You realize there's no such thing. There's only now. And now is where your transformation begins. If you've ever felt like you were meant for more, but couldn't quite figure out how to break through, that's not a sign of failure. That's a sign you're ready to break the cycle, ready to build something real. So stay with this. Stay locked in. Because over the next few minutes, you're going to learn 3 powerful methods that self-made millionaires use to build a mindset that attracts wealth, opportunity, and freedom. Not later, not in theory, but now. In real life, this is more than information. It's a roadmap. If you watch to the end and act on what you hear, this won't just inspire you, it will activate something inside you. That version of you who's been buried under fear and doubt, it's time to wake them up. And it all starts right here, right now. So if mindset is the foundation, then why do so many people stay stuck in the same place year after year, never building anything more than survival? It's because they're caught in patterns they don't even see. Not just habits, but mental loops. Thought cycles so familiar, so automatic they feel like truth. Thoughts like, I can't afford that. I'm just not wired for success, or people like me don't get ahead. These beliefs don't come from facts. They come from fear, from old stories, from other people's doubts that were passed down like family heirlooms. And the most dangerous part? These patterns feel normal until you challenge them. You weren't born to just pay bills and wait for weekends. Deep down you know this. There's a fire inside you that refuses to be quiet. But every time you try to rise, something pulls you back. That voice that says, what if I fail? What will they think? What if I'm not ready? That voice is fear, and fear is a liar. It's the voice of your past trying to hold your future hostage. But you don't have to listen. You can interrupt the pattern. You can override the fear. You can stop giving your energy to limitations and start feeding your potential. It begins with awareness. Until you become conscious of the thoughts that run your life, you're not really choosing them. You're just repeating them. Most people live their whole lives reacting instead of creating. They wake up, go to work, come home, and do it all again. Not because they're lazy, but because they've accepted a script that was never written for greatness. And if you don't rewrite the script, you live by default. That's not your destiny. That's a cage, and the key to unlock it is already in your hands. The key is responsibility. Not blame, not guilt. Responsibility. Owning your mind, owning your growth, owning your results. No one is coming to rescue you. And that's not bad news. It's the best news. Because it means your future doesn't belong to your boss, your background, or your bank balance. It belongs to you. The moment you decide to take control of your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions, you take control of your life. And when you do that, something changes. You start to walk differently, speak differently. You stop needing validation. You stop playing small to fit in. You stop asking for permission to dream big. Because now you see the truth. You were never too late, too old, too broken, or too poor. You were just operating with the wrong mindset. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming who you really are, without the limits, without the fear, without the doubt. You don't need to wait for a better time, a better economy, or a better opportunity. You need to decide, right now. Because once you shift the way you think, you'll shift the way you live. And that shift is everything. Your brain is not broken. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do, keep you safe, not successful, safe. It's wired to avoid risk, protect comfort, and keep everything familiar. That's why you hesitate. That's why you talk yourself out of bold moves. That's why every time you get close to change, fear creeps in and pulls you back. But understand this, safety and success rarely live in the same place. The same instincts that protected your ancestors from danger are now the ones stopping you from growth. Your mind is built for survival, not expansion. But survival isn't enough anymore. Not for you. You were not made to simply get by. You were made to rise, to build, to lead. But you cannot rise with an untrained mind. The untrained mind magnifies fear, overthinks every step, and drowns in what-ifs. It clings to certainty like a shield, even when that certainty is struggle. That's why your dreams feel so far away. Not because you're unworthy of them, but because your mind hasn't been taught to believe they're possible. The good news is you can teach it. You can reshape the way you think, not overnight, not without effort, but absolutely and permanently. Through conscious repetition and intention. Your brain is plastic. That means it molds, it adapts, it learns, but only if you feed it something new. If you keep feeding it fear, it will keep returning fear. If you feed it action, belief, and clarity, it will begin to create from those ingredients instead. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you fire new signals. Every time you act in spite of doubt, you build new wiring. This isn't just mindset, it's mechanics. The same brain that's been repeating the story of lack can be taught to speak the language of abundance, but it won't happen passively. It happens through decision, discipline, and daily work. When you understand this, you stop seeing fear as a sign to stop and start seeing it as a sign to go. You stop waiting to feel ready, because readiness is a feeling that only shows up after you move. You begin to feel the shift. You speak with more certainty. You make choices from vision, not from history. You stop asking, can I do this? And start asking, who do I need to become to make this real? And that question, that shift in identity, is the beginning of every breakthrough you've been waiting for. No one can do this work for you, but you are not alone in the process. Every time you challenge an old belief, you win. Every time you act in alignment with your higher self, you grow. Every day you commit to changing the way you think, you move closer to becoming the person who doesn't just wish for wealth, but builds it. And that person already exists inside you. Not someday. Not after the fear is gone. Now, this is where your new mind begins. This is how your new life starts. You cannot create a new life with the same thoughts that built your old one. If you want to rise, you must think higher. If you want more, you must believe deeper. Belief is not a soft feeling. It is a force. It's the starting point of every great change, the silent engine behind every result you've ever desired. Without belief, you'll hesitate, you'll shrink, you'll sabotage your own progress. But when belief is present, strong, unshakable belief, you'll move through fire for your goals. You'll do the work, not because it's easy, but because you know where it leads. That kind of belief doesn't come from chance. It's built. You build it by proving to yourself, moment by moment, that you are not your past. You are not your pain. You are not your failures. You are not the stories you were told. You are possibility in motion. But possibility means nothing without commitment. So you have to decide. You have to wake up every day and claim the mindset that serves the life you want, not the one that keeps you safe, the one that pulls you forward, the one that whispers even when it's hard, keep going. This is who you're becoming, because your mind listens to repetition. The more you affirm your vision, the more your brain aligns with it. The more you speak with power, the more your identity begins to shift. And when identity shifts, everything changes. You stop chasing wealth from a place of lack. You begin creating it from a place of alignment, from worth, from purpose, from clarity. You no longer ask for permission to succeed. You take responsibility for it. You stop waiting for signs. You become the signal. That's when your energy shifts. That's when your habits evolve. That's when your actions begin to match your ambition. Not once, not twice, but consistently, relentlessly, daily. That's where transformation lives. But there's a truth you must accept. This path will not always feel comfortable. Growth never does. It stretches you. It exposes you. It demands honesty. That's why most people never follow through. They want change, but they don't want the discomfort that change demands. But if you can sit with that discomfort, not run from it, not numb it, but face it, you become powerful. You learn that the fear doesn't control you. The doubt doesn't define you. The discomfort doesn't destroy you. It builds you. It sharpens you. It prepares you for everything you said you wanted. This is how a millionaire mindset is forged, not in comfort, not in theory, but in pressure, in decision, in repetition, in action. You are more than capable. You are more than ready. You are here, listening, because something in you refuses to settle. That voice inside you that keeps whispering there's more. Listen to it, trust it. That's not fantasy, that's your future calling. The only question is whether you'll rise and answer. The moment you decide, everything changes. You rise the moment you stop negotiating with your old self, the version of you that hesitates, the one that needs constant reassurance, the one that clings to comfort and waits for confidence to show up before taking the first step. That version has no place in the life you're building. You can't become powerful while holding on to powerlessness. You can't step into abundance while still thinking in scarcity. Growth begins when you get brutally honest with yourself about what's no longer serving you. Thoughts, habits, excuses, identities. And once you see it clearly, you can't unsee it. You either evolve or stay stuck. There is no in-between. Every excuse you've ever used has a cost. Every delay, every doubt, every time you said not yet or maybe later, it chipped away at your potential. Not because you aren't capable, but because your energy was divided. One part of you wants the dream. The other part still believes the lie that you're not enough. That inner war drains your power. It keeps you tired, frustrated, overwhelmed. But once you commit, fully commit, that war ends. Not because fear disappears, but because you stop giving it control. You stop feeding weakness with your attention. You stop entertaining thoughts that keep you average. You focus, you decide, you act. Decisions shape destiny. Not feelings, not luck, not talent. Decisions. And the most powerful decision you can make is to become the person who no longer tolerates mediocrity. That's where the shift happens. When you raise your standards, not just what you want, but what you expect from yourself. Because what you tolerate becomes your life. If you tolerate delay, you'll always be behind. If you tolerate fear, you'll always be shrinking. If you tolerate excuses, you'll never find results. But when you stop tolerating anything that weakens you, everything changes. You weren't born to be average. You were born to lead your own life with clarity, courage, and conviction. But that leadership begins inside. Before you can direct a business, a brand, or a bank account, you must learn to direct your mind. To stay focused when distractions pull. To keep moving when doubt screams. To choose growth even when it's hard. That's the foundation of wealth. Not just money, but real wealth. The kind that starts within. Discipline, confidence, clarity, peace. These are currencies. And the more you build them, the more the world reflects them back. You don't need more time. You don't need more motivation. You need a line in the sand. A final decision. That the old version of you, the one that hesitates, the one that hides, the one that hopes instead of builds, is done. That you are no longer available for anything less than your potential. Not someday. Now. Because the mind you're building doesn't wait for life to hand it success. It creates success through thought, through action, through relentless focus. The new you doesn't ask, can I? The new you declares, I will. And that declaration is the beginning of everything. Once you declare who you are, you must back it with action. Not once, but daily. Action is how belief becomes reality. It's how potential becomes power. Without action, your mindset is just theory. Ideas without movement are empty. The mind can shape the future, but only when it's matched with decisions that are backed by discipline. That's where most people fall short. They believe for a day. They act for a moment. But the moment it gets uncomfortable, they retreat. A millionaire mindset doesn't retreat. It leans into resistance. It sees discomfort as a sign of growth. Because growth never happens where it's easy. It happens where it's real. You will never rise above the standards you set for yourself. Not what you say, but what you do when no one is watching. Your habits reveal your mindset louder than your words ever will. Do you show up when it's inconvenient? Do you follow through when it's no longer exciting? Do you stay focused when distractions call your name? These are the questions that build your identity. And your identity is the foundation of every result in your life. You will always act in alignment with who you believe you are. Change your identity, and your results follow. This isn't about forcing motivation. It's about becoming someone who doesn't need it. Because when your identity is clear, your actions become automatic. The person who sees themselves as a builder builds. The person who sees themselves as disciplined follows through. The person who sees themselves as worthy of wealth takes the steps to create it. You don't get what you want. You get what you expect. You get what you tolerate. You get what you consistently choose. And you always choose from the level of your identity. So stop trying to fix your life from the outside in. Start building it from the inside out. Begin with your standards. Raise them. Ruthlessly. What are you no longer available for? Excuses, delay, weakness. What does the next level version of you demand from your thoughts, your choices, your energy? That version is already within you. It's waiting for permission to take over. But it can't lead while you keep feeding the voice that wants to stay safe. That voice will always be there. You just don't have to listen anymore. The world responds to the version of you that shows up consistently. Not the one you imagine, not the one you hope to become, the one you live as today. If your actions don't reflect your vision dies in your mind. But when your actions match your words, momentum builds. Confidence grows. Results start showing up not as surprises but as consequences of who you've chosen to become. There is no mystery. There is no secret. There is only the work. And once your mind is aligned with purpose, the work becomes sacred. It becomes a statement, a declaration. This is who I am now. This is what I build. This is where I rise. Consistency is the muscle of greatness. It's not talent, not intelligence, not even passion. It's consistency that separates those who rise from those who remain. Because anyone can start. Anyone can feel motivated for a day. But building a millionaire mindset means showing up even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when no one claps, no one notices, and no one believes but you. That's the work. The silent, disciplined, deliberate repetition of thoughts, actions, and choices that reflect your future, not your past. Because your life is always catching up to your mind. Your results are the echo of what you do repeatedly. When you realize that, you stop chasing outcomes and start mastering systems. You focus less on intensity and more on frequency. You don't need to move the mountain in one day. You just need to push it an inch at a time, every day. Because the compound effect is real. Every decision matters. Every morning you rise with discipline. Every evening you close with intention. You're stacking invisible wins. And over time, those invisible wins become visible results. That's how you build unshakable belief. Not by waiting for proof, but by becoming the proof. And yes, there will be moments when doubt returns. Moments when the mind whispers old scripts, when your energy drops, when nothing seems to be moving. That's the testing ground. That's when most people quit. Not because they're weak, but because they forgot the rules. They forgot that growth happens after it gets hard. That clarity comes after confusion. That power is forged in the exact moments where you feel most uncertain. So instead of retreating, lean in. Remind yourself, discomfort is not the enemy, it's the process. You are not failing, you are being shaped. The strongest minds are not the ones that never break. They are the ones that rebuild, again and again, without losing the fire. They rise with the same goal on day 1000 that they had on day 1. They keep the vision alive, not through hype, but through habit. Because when you operate with consistency, your results stop being a matter of if, they become a matter of when. You stop guessing, stop hoping, stop negotiating. You just move, forward, focused, faithful, certain. That's what the millionaire mindset does. It doesn't need everything to feel perfect, it just needs a reason. And you have one. You're not here to exist, you're here to expand. To create, lead, and elevate. But none of that happens without consistency. It is the discipline to repeat the right thoughts, build the right habits, protect the right energy. It's choosing to be committed to the process, even before the outcome appears. Because once you become consistent, you become dangerous. You become unstoppable. You become the kind of person who no longer waits for success, because you've already built the mind it belongs to. Consistency without clarity leads to burnout. To move with power, you must move with purpose. You need to know why you're building, who you're becoming, and what you refuse to return to. Without that clarity, your effort becomes noise. You grind without growth. You move but never arrive. But when your mind is locked onto a vision that feels larger than your fear, deeper than your doubt, everything shifts. Your energy becomes focused. Your time becomes sacred. Your decisions gain weight. You no longer ask, should I do this? You ask, does this build the life I said I'd have? That shift eliminates distraction. It eliminates confusion. It brings power to your presence. A millionaire mindset is not just about financial wealth. It's about inner authority. The ability to lead yourself without needing constant reassurance. It's the mindset that wakes up and says, this is mine to build. That kind of mindset doesn't beg for approval. It doesn't wait for signs. It decides. It acts. It takes ownership for the direction of its life. Ownership is the root of all transformation. As long as you blame, you remain powerless. As long as you wait for perfect conditions, you postpone your power. But when you claim full responsibility, not just for your actions but your reactions, your energy, your results, you step into real leadership. The kind that changes your trajectory. The kind that echoes through every area of your life. True clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from aligning deeper. You have to know who you are at your core, what you stand for, what you're no longer available for, what you're willing to sacrifice. Because if you don't decide what matters most, the world will decide for you. And it will always sell you comfort. It will offer you the path of least resistance, dressed up as normal, acceptable, responsible. But normal doesn't build legacies. Normal doesn't shift families. Normal doesn't create wealth. And deep down, you know you weren't born for normal. You were born for alignment, for clarity that cuts through noise, for action that reflects purpose. That kind of clarity isn't given, it's chosen, and it's protected daily. You protect it with boundaries, with discipline, with a ruthless refusal to be anything less than the person your future demands. That's not arrogance, that's integrity. You made a decision to grow, and everything you do now must align with that choice. Your time, your thoughts, your standards, your environment, everything must support the vision, or it must go. Because when clarity leads, momentum follows. You don't second guess, you don't hesitate, you don't shrink to fit the old version of yourself. You rise, you lead. You live from the identity of someone who already owns their future. That's not wishful thinking. That's intention. That's alignment. And from that space, success is not something you chase. It's something you attract. Because the world responds to a mind that is clear, focused, and unapologetically committed to becoming everything it was built to be. The world doesn't give you what you want. It reflects who you are. You don't rise by demanding more from life. You rise by demanding more from yourself. Until you raise your internal standard, the external won't shift. Wanting is never enough. Hoping is never enough. Only alignment and action change your reality. And to live aligned, you must let go of everything that contradicts the future you claim to want. That includes your doubts, your excuses, your comfort zone. That includes the part of you that keeps looking for shortcuts. Because success doesn't come to the one who moves fast. It comes to the one who moves with precision, with direction, and with non-negotiable belief. Your current results are not your destiny. They are your feedback. Everything around you right now is a reflection of what you've been available for. Your income, your energy, your environment, your emotions. If something feels off, it's not punishment, it's a signal. The most powerful minds listen to those signals without judgment. They observe without attachment, and then they adjust. That's what a growth mindset truly is, not just positivity, but responsibility. Not just affirmations, but action. The willingness to pivot, adapt, evolve. Because clinging to what no longer serves you is the fastest way to delay everything you say you want. Real transformation starts the moment you stop arguing for your limitations. The moment you catch yourself saying, "I'm just not that kind of person," and you question it. Who told you that? When did you decide that you couldn't grow beyond what you've been? Beliefs are not facts. They're decisions you've repeated so often, they became your truth. But just like you learn to play small, you can learn to expand. Just like you adopted fear, you can train courage. Just like you built habits that limit you, you can replace them with rituals that empower you. Every limitation you carry is optional, if you have the courage to outgrow it. The mind that builds wealth is not obsessed with comfort, it is obsessed with capacity. It's constantly asking, how much more can I grow? How much more can I handle? How much more can I become? Because wealth is not about what you collect, it's about what you can hold, what you can steward, what you can multiply. And that requires mental endurance, emotional maturity, strategic thinking. It requires mastering your response to pressure, not avoiding it. Growth and pressure are twins. You don't get one without the other. But when pressure shows up, it doesn't break you, it reveals you. It shows you where your next level begins. You are not here to play small. You are not here to repeat yesterday. You are here to disrupt the cycle, to shift the legacy, to choose purpose over patterns, power over passivity, vision over comfort. That's what a millionaire mindset is made of. Decisions, not dreams. Ownership, not excuses. Consistency, not convenience. And once you make the decision to live from that place, your entire life begins to bend in the direction of your courage. Every moment you delay your transformation, you reinforce the version of yourself that's no longer meant to lead your life. The longer you hesitate, the stronger the old patterns become. And they don't leave quietly. Doubt will scream louder. Fear will show up dressed as logic. Comfort will tempt you with easy options, but you cannot grow and remain familiar at the same time. Something has to break. Either your limitations or your potential, and only you get to decide which one wins. That decision isn't made once. It's made over and over again, in silence, in solitude, in the stillness between who you are and who you're becoming. You cannot fake alignment. Your energy will always expose your intentions. You can say you want change, but if your habits remain tied to survival, you'll keep repeating survival-level results. Because your life is not driven by what you wish for, it's driven by what you're committed to. Your actions expose your real priorities. Every time you choose distraction over discipline, you reinforce an identity that's not built to carry your future. That's why transformation is less about doing more and more about becoming more. When you grow bigger than your problems, they stop feeling like blocks and start feeling like benchmarks. Each challenge becomes a sign that you're headed in the right direction. A millionaire mindset doesn't avoid obstacles. It expects them. Not with fear, but with readiness. Because challenge is the sharpening ground of the committed. It's where clarity is tested. It's where your belief either cracks or solidifies. And the only way to strengthen belief is to act on it. Every time you show up, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's uncomfortable, you hardwire a new identity. One built on ownership. One built on action. One built on the unshakable truth that your vision is worth the weight it carries. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are exactly where the shift begins. But the shift only begins when you stop living on autopilot. When you stop settling for good enough. When you look at your life and decide it's time to lead it, not just survive it. That decision can't come from pressure. It has to come from purpose. From a place inside of you that refuses to leave this world untouched, unexpressed, unnoticed. The part of you that knows you were built for more, but also knows that more must be earned. Not once, daily. Your breakthrough doesn't live in a perfect plan. It lives in a persistent pattern, a new way of thinking, a higher level of choosing, a deeper form of showing up. Not just when it's time to perform, but when no one's watching, when your old life is calling, when doubt is knocking. That's when it counts most. That's when the shift happens. You either answer with fear or rise with fire. One leads to comfort. The other leads to everything you were born to become. The fire you're searching for is already in you. It doesn't come from the outside. It's not waiting in a book, a post, a podcast, or a plan. It's buried beneath the noise of your excuses, under the weight of your fears, behind the mask you've worn to stay safe. That fire ignites the moment you stop negotiating with your potential, the moment you stop asking if you're ready and start deciding that you're done waiting. Because there's no perfect time to rise. There's only the moment you finally choose to burn brighter than your limitations. Success isn't created by the loudest voice. It's built by the quietest decision, the one you make when no one believes in you yet, when your environment doesn't match your vision, when your results don't justify your level of belief. That's where the real ones are made, in the gaps, in the grind, in the space between the life you're leaving and the one you're building. Most people collapse in that space. They mistake resistance for a sign to stop. But you're not here to stop. You're here to evolve, to expand, to hold the pressure without folding. 'Cause pressure isn't punishment. It's proof that you're growing. You will feel the tension. That's how you know you're doing it right. That's how you know you're not repeating old cycles. The discomfort you feel when you choose new thoughts, new standards, new behaviors. That's your old self dying. That's identity shifting. And it's not supposed to feel easy. It's supposed to feel unfamiliar. It's supposed to stretch you. Because if it didn't, it wouldn't change you. Growth doesn't ask for permission. It demands sacrifice. And if you're not willing to let go of who you've been, you'll never become who you're meant to be. You don't need to be the most talented. You don't need the perfect background. You just need to be relentless. You need to be the kind of person who decides what they want and doesn't stop until it's done. Not just for the achievement, but for the person you become in the process. That version of you, the one who didn't fold, didn't flee, didn't give up, is the version your future needs. The one who kept moving without validation. The one who stopped waiting to feel ready. The one who walked through fear without shrinking. Your life bends to the energy you hold. Hold hesitation, and life will give you reasons to doubt. Hold courage, and life will meet you with opportunity. But you must choose daily. Choose to believe before the evidence. Choose to act before the outcome. Choose to speak from power, not pain. Choose to live like you matter, because you do. You always have. And when you move like that truth is real, the world won't be able to ignore it. The universe responds to bold decisions. So make one now. Decide to rise. Decide to build. Decide that the next version of you is not up for debate. It's already becoming. You can't shift into greatness while clinging to the version of you that was built to survive. You weren't born to stay in cycles of hesitation, fear, and half-commitment. You were built to evolve, to disrupt, to rise into the power of full ownership. Ownership means you stop blaming the world, your past, your conditions. It means you stop waiting to feel worthy. It means you stop outsourcing responsibility for your future to anything outside of you. The moment you stop waiting is the moment everything begins to move. The world responds not to neediness, but to certainty. Not to desperation, but to direction. Decide, and you shift the frequency of your life. There is no next level without identity alignment. You can't out-earn, out-hustle, or outwork a belief system that keeps dragging you back to smallness. If you keep seeing yourself through the lens of your past, your future will always be filtered by limitation. It's not just about doing more. It's about becoming someone new. Someone who expects more from themselves, who sees value in discipline, who doesn't flinch when things get hard. Someone who's done negotiating with self-doubt. Every result in your life reflects the standards you've accepted. Raise your standards, and your results rise with them. This isn't about hype. This is about wiring. The the way you speak to yourself, the way you treat your goals, the way you show up when it's inconvenient. Those are the building blocks of your reality. If your internal dialogue is full of hesitation, your external world will reflect it. The mind believes what it hears most. If you keep repeating fear, it becomes fact. But if you repeat power, resilience, and vision, your mind begins to rewire for momentum. You don't become unbreakable by accident. You train it. Through repetition, through action, through refusing to stay small another day. You have one life, and it's not meant to be spent apologizing for your ambition. You're not too much. You're not too late. You're not unrealistic. You're just awakening. Awakening to the truth that your gifts are not random, that your desire for more is not greed. It's guidance. And if you keep ignoring that calling, the pain will grow louder, not to punish you, but to push you. Because some dreams will keep knocking until you open the door or silence them forever. And that silence is the real failure. Not falling short, not missing a step, but deciding to settle. There's a version of you that already knows how to do this. A version that already knows how to think, how to lead, how to build. Not someday, now. But that version only emerges through action, through refusing to let fear be the loudest voice in the room, through choosing vision over validation, progress over perfection, expansion over ease. If you want to meet that version, stop waiting, start moving. Trust yourself enough to become what only you were designed to be. And don't look back. You're already in motion. Keep going. You don't need another sign. You don't need more permission. What you need is already inside of you. The clarity to see your worth, the discipline to build your future, and the courage to act like you belong in the life you desire. You don't have to earn the right to want more. You don't have to wait for anyone to tell you it's time. The time is when you decide it is. The shift happens when you stop asking who's going to let you, and start becoming the kind of person who refuses to be denied. That's when the energy changes. That's when your environment begins to adapt to match your frequency instead of shrinking to match your fear. You don't chase a millionaire mindset by chasing money. You cultivate it by chasing mastery, by choosing personal excellence when it's not required, by staying focused when the world pushes you to distract yourself, by showing up fully even when no one's clapping for you. This isn't about results first. It's about mindset first. Because if your mind is wired for lack, no amount of money will feel like enough. But if your mind is wired for abundance, responsibility, and resilience, success becomes inevitable. Not because it's easy, but because you're built to carry it. Too many people think success is reserved for the lucky, the connected, the special. But the truth is, it belongs to the relentless, to the disciplined, to the ones who stop breaking promises to themselves. The ones who get honest about the fact that procrastination is just fear in disguise. That waiting for motivation is just another excuse to stay small. The ones who understand that momentum isn't found, it's created. Day by day, thought by thought, choice by choice. You are the pattern, you are the process, and the only way out of the old is through the new. You want to feel powerful? Start keeping the commitments you whisper to yourself when no one's around. Start doing what you said you'd do long after the mood you said it in has disappeared. That's where self-respect is built. That's where confidence is forged. When you begin to trust yourself again, the world has no choice but to respond. Because energy doesn't lie. And the energy of a person who has decided they're done playing small is magnetic, unstoppable, unshakable. Not because they don't feel fear, but because they refuse to let it decide for them. This life you're dreaming of, it's not a fantasy, it's a mirror. It's showing you what's possible if you rise to meet it. But you can't fake the work. You can't trick your way into transformation. You have to earn it. And you earn it in silence, in sweat, in sacrifice. Not for applause, not for validation, but because you know you're worth the effort. You know this life deserves your full power. So give it every day. No holding back, no half effort. Show up like your future is watching, because it is. And it's waiting for you to catch up. There is no breakthrough without friction, no clarity without confusion, no strength without resistance. If it feels hard, it's because you're in the process of becoming. And the process will always test what you truly believe, not what you say you want, what you actually act on. Most people fold under the weight of change, not because they're weak, but because they haven't yet trained their mind to stay focused under pressure. The old programming kicks in, and they run back to the comfort of what's familiar. But comfort never created transformation. Comfort never built resilience. What builds it is the willingness to walk through discomfort with intention, with fire, with the unshakable decision that the old life is no longer an option. Your reality is always catching up to your mindset. You can't plant seeds of doubt and expect a harvest of confidence. You can't rehearse failure in your mind and expect to walk like a winner. What you repeat, you become. That's why every thought counts. Every belief matters. Every small decision either reinforces the future you're building or drags you deeper into the past you're trying to escape. You have to get ruthless with your focus. You have to become the kind of person who guards their energy like their life depends on it, because it does. Not your physical life, but the life you're meant to live. The one that only unlocks when you stop tolerating what's been holding you back. Discipline is the highest form of self-respect. It says, I'm not waiting for the world to believe in me. I believe in myself enough to do what's necessary, even when it's hard, even when it's quiet, even when no one is watching. The people who rise aren't the ones with the best circumstances. They're the ones who refuse to be controlled by their circumstances. They show up anyway. They execute when it's inconvenient. They sacrifice when others indulge. They speak power over their life instead of problems. Not because it's easy, because it's required. You don't need a plan as much as you need a decision. One clear, powerful internal decision to stop operating beneath your potential. You can't tiptoe into greatness. You have to walk in with full conviction. You have to decide that your vision matters more than your fear, that your future matters more than your comfort, that you will not abandon yourself another day to please a version of you that was built for survival, not expansion. You're not stuck. You're just conditioned. And conditioning can be changed, not all at once, but one thought at a time, one action at a time, one bold decision at a time. The shift is already happening. You're no longer who you were. And if you keep moving, you'll meet the version of you who doesn't second guess, who doesn't self-sabotage, who doesn't wait. That version is real. And it's yours, if you choose to rise and never settle again. The moment you stop negotiating with your old limits, everything changes. The rules you've lived by, the identity you've clung to, the excuses you've repeated, they all begin to lose power the second you decide to break your pattern. Your life bends in the direction of your standards. If your standards are low, your results follow. But when you raise what you expect from yourself, not once but daily, you start to operate at a level where growth becomes inevitable, not forced, not frantic, just aligned. Because you've finally decided that average is not your identity. You've drawn a line. And the person you were no longer has the authority to dictate the person you're becoming. It's not just about working hard. It's about working from the right state of mind. When you move from fear, everything feels urgent, pressured, chaotic. But when you move from power, your internal, grounded, calm power, everything sharpens. Focus deepens. Energy rises. Clarity returns. This is the millionaire mindset. Not a fantasy or a dream, but a way of seeing, thinking, and choosing that elevates you into a higher frequency of action. You no longer chase opportunities. You attract them through your energy, your presence, your commitment to excellence. That's the real difference. Not what you do, but how you show up when no one else sees the effort. Every excuse you've ever made has one thing in common. It was designed to protect your comfort. But comfort doesn't care about your future. It only wants you safe. And safe will never stretch you. Safe will never push you. Safe will never call you to lead. You have to decide what matters more, staying unchanged or becoming unstoppable. You can't have both. And deep down, you already know that. That inner voice, the one that keeps reminding you that you're meant for more, it isn't lying. It's revealing a truth your current life might not reflect yet. But truth doesn't need proof to exist. It needs action to come alive. You're not behind. You're not late. You're simply one powerful shift away from alignment. And that shift starts when you stop trying to feel ready and start getting ready through action. Action isn't just something you do. It's something that transforms you. It rewires your belief. It gives you evidence that you are who you say you are. You don't build confidence by waiting. You build it by doing what you once thought you couldn't. That's how identity is reshaped. That's how vision becomes real. Let today be the day you stop running from your own potential. The day you look at your fears and say, you don't lead me anymore. The day you close the gap between who you are and who you're meant to be, not with perfection, but with intention. Because progress doesn't require perfection. It requires direction. And now you have it. Forward. No matter how small the step, take it with your full heart. This is the path, and this is your time to walk it. You don't rise by chance. You rise by decision. A decision to no longer entertain the patterns that drain you, to stop excusing the habits that limit you, and to finally step into the version of yourself that lives on the other side of discipline. Most people wait for a breakthrough without realizing that the breakthrough is waiting for them to stop avoiding the work. You can't fake alignment. You can't pretend to believe and expect results. Life reflects your internal commitment, not your temporary motivation. The way you show up in private, the consistency, the clarity, the relentless drive, that's what shapes your external reality. You become what you demand of yourself when no one is clapping, when no one sees the effort, and when quitting would be easier. You are not here to settle. You are not here to survive. You are built to stretch, to expand, to rise, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Growth will never feel convenient. It will ask for more than you think you have. But in giving more, you uncover strength you didn't know was there. That's the reward. Not just results, but transformation. Not just progress, but the evolution of your identity. That's how the millionaire mindset is formed. It's forged in moments of resistance. Moments where you choose discipline over comfort, clarity over chaos, and purpose over distraction. There is no success without self-respect. If you say you want more but constantly abandon the actions that lead to more, you're not just delaying progress, you're weakening trust with yourself. And that's the real cost. Not failure, not rejection, but waking up one day realizing you never gave yourself a real chance. Don't let temporary emotions sabotage your permanent potential. The discomfort you feel in growth is not a warning, it's a signal that you're moving beyond what's familiar and into what's possible. Every time you push forward when it's easier to pull back, you're proving to your mind that you are in charge, not your doubt, not your fear, not your past. The mind follows the leader. When you lead with belief, discipline, and vision, your thoughts begin to obey your intention. You are no longer reactive. You are responsive. You are deliberate. That's where real power begins. Not in controlling circumstances, but in mastering your response to them. That's the shift. That's the leverage. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take the next step with full conviction. You don't need to know the whole path. You just need to walk the part that's in front of you. Power is built in motion. Clarity is found in momentum. Confidence is forged in repetition. This isn't about who you've been. It's about who you're choosing to become. Keep choosing, keep rising, keep becoming. The version of you who wins is already within. Every action brings you closer. Every moment is a vote. Choose the future that's calling you. And never look back.